foundation is, if you're talking to me and you're attacking me and you're kind of, just getting at me, do you give da'wah and do you have knowledge?
Daughters are guests in your house.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? So
That's deep.
so treat them as a guest.
When it comes to business, having that empathetic, that selfless kind of attitude, and it almost sounds so counterintuitive to say selfless attitude in business where you're trying to make the money.
In my mind, I create an environment in which I accept that there's always going to be peaks and troughs. You know what I mean? I can't anticipate I'm going to have a smooth day every day.
Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brothers and sisters, welcome back to MXP. Alhamdulillah, today I got a good friend of mine, Omar Choudhry, in the building.
Bro, it's so good to be here, man.
You good, yeah?
Alhamdulillah, bro. Really well, man. Thanks for having me, bro.
Allah, it's a pleasure.
I was so excited to come here. Trust me.
It's a pleasure to have you, man. I was excited, yeah. I told you Faisal was coming as well.
Yeah.
It made me kind of anxious because he's obviously the podcast boss, isn't it?
Yeah,
So now I feel like after
you should have an earpiece in your ear, just like getting the notes.
Yeah, I'm thinking he's probably looking at me thinking, hey, you're sitting the wrong way. This is not how podcast should go. So I'm kind of nervous.
It's so good, man. Even to see like how he developed himself so much over a few years. We used to just have a table in my mom. We had a little bedroom that me and him used to share in Mum's house, and there was like a tiny bit of like
the first phase, right? It was called
the next phase.
The next phase.
And it was just like a big table, like in the middle of the room, bro. You couldn't even get anywhere. But that shows dedication, man. To now, mashallah, everything's achieved.
Alhamdulillah, man. So, Akhi, as is our tradition on MXQ, when we bring on people that we actually know, we always talk about how the first time we met. So, do you recall the first time we met?
Yeah, I do actually. I don't know if we met like in passing beforehand, but I believe we were introduced through Faisal. Yeah, because I think you guys were working on something. And then, we came to your office, I believe. Yeah. And I met you, your brother. And it's funny, I was a bit anxious before to meet you because Faisal was, meet Imran. And, I probably had the same perceptions that a lot of people have. I was like, but I don't know, man. I don't know if we'll get along. And your brother came to meet you, man. Honestly, bro. And since that day, I was like, gutted I haven't met you sooner, man.
Well, it was sometimes you connect with people and even you don't see them a lot, but there's just that very positive energy. And we felt like that with you because I remember even just a few meetings that we had originally, that we was opening up about deep things. You know what I'm saying? It was, and that's the kind of stuff that you don't always necessarily feel comfortable talking to someone about unless you know them for a long period of time. But alhamdulillah.
But you have that trait where you make people comfortable as well. So I think you had that impact where I felt like I was in a safe space. Also, I think I trusted your environment because one, it was very similar to ours. Like I work very close to my brother in the same space, and you with yours too. So I think all of you guys had that, which was great. And you had small gestures that I think were so amazing. Hope you don't mind me sharing. Like with the first few times you met, like there was these traits. Like Imran, for instance, like when he sees you, he would just bring like gifts. Like, you know what I mean? You come with like, I remember you came with chocolates and desserts, and when you came to see us, and no one really done that before. Like just pop into your office. And I remember you saying as well, like, there's something that we should do. So even that to we remember that. And these are emotional triggers that, it's such a small gesture, but they last, and on our way here, we thought, man, we remember that time we did that. Like, you know what I mean? And but even to have that impact on someone is incredible, man. It really shows a level of empathy.
You know what? I think I speak for myself, Abu Bakr and Sa'ad to also say that, mashallah, you and Faisal actually had a very big impact on us as well.
Oh, bless you, man.
In a number of ways. Number one, mashallah, the way you guys, like run your projects. But like in a sense where you guys didn't really have any background help in terms of helping you guys get to where you are now. And you still got a long way to go. And I'm just so excited to see where you guys are going to end up, inshallah ta'ala, in the next few years. I pray Allah will give you tawfiq. But it's interesting because you guys didn't have any big supporters, any crazy investors, someone that believed in you. You had to kind of grind and hustle when people not really believing in you and the odds are stacked up against you. And from a da'wah perspective, it was similar with us in the sense where there's loads of da'wah organizations that don't do, not to kind of bring them down, but just in terms of their output is nowhere near close to what our output is. But the input in terms of the financial injections, the investments, the donations that they get, the support that they get is crazy. And we never got any of that. In fact, we had doors closed on us left, right, center. So we always felt like it was always us against the world. Even now, many people, they don't like to work with, I wouldn't say us really, the problem, a lot of them is me because maybe kind of a stigma, whatever have you. So it's always been us trying to, with Allah's permission, work from rags to riches in the da'wah, meaning like as in, set up a project and get into masajid and so on and so forth. And you guys did that from a professional perspective,
Right.
like you set up your own
Right.
companies, alarm badik. So for us, there's like we'd actually be learning from you so much every time we sit with you. Even the
Wow.
first time you came, I remember the way you were talking, and you was telling us about the team that you had set up and how you kind of manage the team and how you give them time and you listen to their emotions and you pick up on what they need in life and you ask them, hey, you know, like what can we do to kind of I'm kind of paraphrasing your words, but the point, what I understood was, you know, trying to understand what they were going through in life and try to, as their employer, fill that void. And you mentioned some examples. So then we took that on board straight away.
Wow.
So we started doing that with the brothers who work for us, because even though we are a Dawah organization, we never set ourselves up as a charity because of charity commission issues. So we run as a business, so we pay tax and we have to pay wages and all that. So we said, you know what, we have to kind of employ those values. So we took a lot of that from you.
Wow, I appreciate
And
it.
that's
man.
only a pinch, like a drop in the water. What we actually took, we took a lot
That's
more.
amazing. You know what? Now that you mentioned that, it's so. I think those values are so important because, you know, when a lot of that way of thinking, like you're saying, came about from the adverse experiences. So when I was younger and I was around people that in fact didn't care about me, didn't care about, you know, my life, my age and, you know, my circumstances. And in fact, they would try and capitalize on it. So they'd be like, okay, well, you know, we grew up in an environment where, you know, mom's single parent, council house, you know what I mean? Like, and even for my mom, like when I got to the age of 18, 19, for me to give her 50 quid a month to help with some bills was a big deal to her. And then by those people, for example, that I brought closer to me that knew that, who I would make money with, do projects with, they would exploit that. And then, you know, they would be like, okay, you know what, we make X amount for a project, but we know Omar will be okay with just this because like that's a lot to him. You know what I mean? But then
So they wouldn't give you your worth.
Right. But me also over time learning that that's not a nice feeling to have when people can't empathize with you.
Yeah.
Imagine in reverse, if someone shared my pain, I was like, you know what, we see that. Now, what if you go a step further and like take care of your mum completely? You know what I mean? Not just get you to that next point, get you to the end goal. And, you know, I think with Faisal and I, that was why we stayed so close because we were like, look, the only ones that are going to share the same vision is ourselves. You know, and this is way before we got married and had kids. We're like, look, and our dad, albeit he wasn't, you know, in the house with us because they were separated, still would always drum into us the importance of you boys have to provide for your mum. You know what I mean? You got to find ways to take care of the bills, look after this, you know, so that was important to us. And now that we employ people, those values are still true. Like just recently, in fact, we brought on a new girl onto our team, just excellent for communication, leads our communication strategy, and she works remotely. So one, she got to work remotely in an environment that she's happy with. Secondly, you know, one of the biggest fears, you know, understandably would have is that she would get married in the next year or so, and to be in an environment that actually supports that and wants her to go and live her life, be married. She might move to Birmingham. It's fine.
But you can work from wherever you are.
Right. But us knowing that, look, we're here to support you because of the talent you have and because we want to see you elevate. Now, how can we create an environment that enables you to do that? You shouldn't need to work in a place where you're anxious about making certain steps in your life. It needs to be a collaborative process.
You know, you mentioned so much there that I just want to kind of just touch upon. We'll try and move backwards. The issue of you know, facilitating that job for that sister. I actually remember, Alam Barik, one time you came to Darussalam Masjid to meet with Ustad Abdurrahman and ask him some questions. One of the things you discussed was about hiring women. I remember Ustad actually encouraged you. He said, you guys are Muslims. You guys are brothers in the Sunnah, mashallah, you know, you're trying to practice your deen, you pray, whatnot, and you're conscious of the concept of having a halal environment right now. If there was someone that should, I mean, women are going to go out there and work. They have, I mean, that's the reality of the situation they're in, and they're allowed to work, provided that the environment is correct. If people like you don't facilitate jobs for them, then they're going to have to go to places where they're going to have to free mix with men and whatnot and so on and so forth. So I think that's one of the beautiful things that came out of what you've set up as a Muslim businessman, as a Muslim entrepreneur, is that you've been able to facilitate, I mean, amongst many things, but just being able to facilitate jobs for women where they can actually work in a halal environment. And that's actually something that we took on as well. Because we said to ourselves, you know what, I mean, sisters are amazing. They've got amazing skills, you know what I'm saying? And we should be able to kind of facilitate a space for them. So we just literally last week, we secured the office downstairs and it's an office just for sisters.
Amazing. Bro.
So right now they're not as official employees, but they're volunteers. And we hope that as time progresses, we'll put them on properly. But it's about creating that space and that environment for them. I think that was very good.
You know what? But no, I think that's amazing. You guys have done that, mashallah. And I think what I've learned as I've got more and more understanding for the deen in certain areas, especially related to business, is that on the outset, a lot of concepts can seem, quote unquote, backwards. They can seem like they don't quite make sense. But in fact, the more you dig into them, you can't argue, how much better they might be for certain reasons, because of all the other things that can be a result of doing the other way. So, when you see it that way, then you think about, okay, you have a wife, sisters, daughters now, and you're like, okay, well, what type of environment would they be happy in? And of course, we're not perfect and we're trying to always evolve as we go in, but just I think having the consciousness and to dig deeper. And look, I'm the type of person, even with the deen, where things need to feel like they make sense to me, that I can actually understand the whole concept. And the more I've been able to do that, and I think, having the certain teachers, as our mutual friends and people that can really contextualize certain issues, even in parenting and stuff, that make you believe that, hold on a second, that's actually miles better than the alternative, even outside of Islam, just as a logical way of thinking, it's so much better. So why would you not do that? And that allows me to then take a step closer, because I get that from just even if it wasn't for Islam, it makes more sense. You know what I mean?
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
And I think that you can kind of see the fruits, because look, we're not perfect. We make many mistakes. You know what I'm saying? We make mistakes professionally. Sometimes we make even mistakes in the deen every now and again, and we get corrected. And we've had brothers that worked with us, and some of them got upset and maybe didn't really see it in a nice way or whatnot. But we like to think that overall we have a healthy environment here. We encourage people towards the deen. People come here, they become better, they love it, and they don't want to leave. You know what I'm saying? And I see at your place there's a similar situation. Like, for example, because you have some guys that were not really practicing, right? And this is the beauty of it, is because look, you're Allah Barik, you're a Muslim entrepreneur. You're not someone who's involved in the da'wah or, someone who gives lessons or anything like that, but you still have a part to play. And you had people that were coming into your workplace and they started praying. You had people coming to your workplace and they became Muslim. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's bagging. You know what I'm saying? And I think that in itself is just such a encouragement. I think, it's such an inspiration that people should really take on from that, is that to try and set up their own projects. I always say to brothers and sisters, I say, why do you want to work for Harry? Samantha is going to be looking at you funny when you take a salah break. You want to go for Jummah, they're going to look at you funny. Why don't you actually set up the initiative to go and set up your own projects? It's hard. It's blood, sweat and tears. I mean, you kids are selling drugs in the streets. If you're a drug dealer, you have the skills to be an entrepreneur. I mean, you know how to market. You know how to sell a product. Product development. They even mixing their drugs up with funny stuff nowadays. You know how to control what your workers, you know how to manage your workers, you know how to scale. You're sending people to the countryside to sell drugs on your back. Like, you got the skills to be a businessman. But it's just that, you know what it is? And I wouldn't even say you're lazy. You're not, because you're putting that work in. So, but why not just do it in halal?
Transfer it across.
Why not just do it in halal?
Well, look, I think first of all, to that point of people coming to an environment and pray Salah, for instance, that's a testament to, I think, everyone in that environment. Everyone plays such a unique role, individual role. I won't mention all the brothers because I don't want to put them on the spot, but there's so many of them, in our environment that play such a huge role. But really, the interesting thing, Imran, is that no one even consciously is thinking that way. Our ethos has been to look, the principles that we're taught, let's just live by those and work by those, in terms of our environment. For example, no swearing. You know what I mean? That's a small example. And just, yes, of course, the odd here and there, you might slip out, something might get said, whatever it is, but very rarely. And even then, you don't encourage that, because it's not even the way the language is used. One that. Secondly, for instance, like the type of content you consume, the type of videos that you'll watch, the type of conversations you'll have. So that environment itself naturally creates a sincere environment. It creates a beautiful environment. Just praying throughout the day, whether you're Muslim or not, and you're in our office, when we pray, that's a moment in which there's silence. It's a moment in which we're humbling ourselves, and we could be in the middle of activity, and then fast we'll say, okay guys, 45 minutes, we'll do salah, make sure everyone's done with their work, cool, all right, let's, we're a good time, everyone pray, we're focused, and then get back on what we're doing. But in between, bro, some of the best moments we actually have are right before we pray salah, is when everyone's cracking joke, because that's when it's like a breakout area. So it's like everyone, like, we stand there, like everyone's making wudu, waiting for someone else, and us boys are just standing there just laughing about random things, like about our kids or whatever, and it's just like a form of bonding. But again, we still have people in our office today that aren't Muslim, but that environment it creates, that awareness. For example, one of my closest friends right now, because of COVID, can't go to his office. So he set up office in our office. So we give him a space there. Like if we're praying Salah, he'll watch out for deliveries. He'll make sure he answers the phone. He'll make sure that he tells people that don't go in there yet. Like just out of respect, he'll walk around the side to go to the bathroom if he needs to, you know what I mean? And the other day someone came, I think it was one of the shaykh came to meet Faisal, I think. And he said salam to them as well.
Oh, wow.
Like, you know what I mean? It's just he's
It's a non-Muslim guy.
Yeah, but we were like, you know, and then we like gassing him, like, bro, but it's just like small little things from an empathetic point of view. Are like, we're not preaching anything there. We're not saying you have to do this. We're just showing them, look, this is the way we live our lives. You know what I mean?
And that's the power.
That's the
power of Islam. Like for example, you know, if you look how Indonesia became a Muslim country, and today it's the biggest. It's the biggest Muslim country in terms of population. There's like, I think there's like 200 million plus Muslims there. They didn't even become, and this is not to take away from the importance of giving da'wah and calling to Tawheed, because some people go to another extreme and they just say, look, let's not give da'wah, let's just show through our manners. But it does highlight the importance of manners and a healthy Islamic environment, that when Muslim businessmen just went there to trade, just by seeing how honest they were in their trading, word started to spread until it spread to the leader of the country, and then they became Muslim. They were like, who are these people? What, you lot actually are honest and you don't cheat? Like why? Oh, Allah.
Bro, it's so rare to have that, man. Like these experiences give you chills, bro, because it's so different to the modern world we live in, where you have a capitalist society and where people can be so money and power driven that's the only metric they follow, you know, and anything that you want to reach like that, first of all, they're things that you can't hold in your hand. And, you know, you might get it from material gains or whatever, but these are things that will never be enough because you'll always want more of it. You know what I mean? If it's power, the president of America right now wants to be even more powerful than that. You know what I mean? So we know that it doesn't matter. Whatever you think right now, you might just want to be the man in your house. Yeah. Soon enough, you're going to want to be the man in the world. So you got to understand who we are innately as humans. And when you get that, you'll understand that, okay, well, there's no point in me trying to set my metrics and values based on those things. Let me reframe that. Let me look at something in which I can get satisfaction, which being the values that you hold, your integrity, your morals, your respect, your dignity. Like, what are these things that you can do? Faisal and I was just speaking today on how that translates to business. Is he was working with someone who for example, contracted to do some work because of COVID. They couldn't finish the work. That person, you know, for whatever reason, hasn't been back in touch yet. But he himself is so conscious that he's like, I need to contact that person for my own sake and say, look, you paid me for something. I don't feel right that we haven't completed it. Let me know, I can give it money back to you or we complete it. But the fact that someone like that isn't thinking, hey, you know what? I got one over. I've got some money now. Let me run with it. He's like, no, that's not sitting right with me. And he said himself, he goes, not even about the work. It's about Allah, you know? And bro, I'm surrounded with, that's in my passenger seat today. You know what I mean? So how valuable that is. And when he's not around me, bro, I get like, I'm like sometimes he's saying to me, I'm working here, I'm doing this here. I'll get emotional, but I'm like, bro, you need to stay here. You know what I mean?
Wallahi, Allah, but you know, now that you mentioned that, actually, just so people can see that these are not like flukes, but if you actually put yourself in these environments, this kind of good comes. I have a similar story to that, like that. Basically, since we moved into this office space, basically, I told you there were brothers, right, that run it, mashallah, and really lovely brothers, mashallah. Actually younger than us, but I think probably like your age, themselves, businessmen, entrepreneurs, mashallah, doing some amazing work. And they obviously wanted to hire out this top part to us. So obviously, as you naturally do, you negotiate, right, the rent price. So they gave us a good price anyway. At the time, our finances went amazing. They were okay, they were amazing. We had a budget, and we were like, obviously, we can slightly kind of maybe go over the budget, but it's best not to, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to put yourself in a crippling situation. So as we're trying to negotiate, we're trying to say, look, brothers, can you bring it down? I think like about £50 or £100 or something like that. And they were actually considering it. They were thinking about it. So we said, I think Abu Bakr must have grabbed me and he said, let's go upstairs and let's just take a look at the spot one more time to kind of before we make the proper decision. So as we're looking at the spot one more time, he goes, bro, you know what? Bro, there's no point negotiating. This place is actually worth what they're asking. Another brother that was there, you know what he says? It was me, him, Guled. I think there was one other brother as well. He goes, Aman. One of the brothers, he goes, bro, you know what? Let's give them more.
Wow.
He said, because at the end of the day, it's slightly overstepping the budget, But what that will do is that will show them that we're not actually here for the money. We're not trying to just, because they actually had a bad experience with their client, with their tenants prior. So he was like, you know what? Let's offer them a little bit more. That will actually show the concept of Islamic brotherhood, as in that we're not just here to eat off each other or to just benefit with each other. So now when we came down, Abu Bakr goes, bro, actually we're gonna give you like £100 extra or £50 extra. So as we say that, the brothers kind of look at each other confused, and their father was in the back, and he puts his hand up and he says, sorry, I'm these guys' dad, and we're not going to take an extra penny. Like, you guys don't need to do that. So now we're arguing about who's going to pay more. And we're like, and they could have said, yeah, but even they're like, no, like, we're not going to do
It's that gesture and
it's
the
that
power
gesture,
of that.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
And but like, imagine we start off our business relationship in that way. It's like, and even since then, like, for example, we done some dumb stuff. Like, for example, the brothers done some stuff with the bins. Sometimes they left things in the sink and they didn't clean it. And the brothers, they didn't even get upset. It's more kind of like, you know, I'm not here with people that are just fools that I'm just taking money off. Like, we actually are brothers. It's like, you know, just clean the dishes, whatever have you. And we haven't had no issues. We haven't had no issues. And it's just amazing when you do stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So
Those characteristics, man, because you walk with and by the way, it's difficult to tap into all of those things, because sometimes it's hard to always, you know, understand the lessons that we get taught through Islam and small practices, but to carry them in your day-to-day life, you know, because we're humans and we end up slipping up. But like you're saying, moments like that, to have people around you that can check you, that can just say, hey man, consider this. They're just little like drops of like thought processes, and that's why you have to trust your friends, man. You have to have those people around you, and especially in a business environment, especially in a space where you're dealing with a lot at stake. You know, it could not only money, decision making that can actually affect your family, your livelihood, your type of risk you're getting in. That you have to consider all these small things. So you can't just have loose head people around you that are just gonna do anything for the quick buck. You know, and that's tough, bro, because it's very easy in this day and age, especially in today's world, where, you know, everything's about the hype, the presence, to just want to go for whatever it is to get the check, you know, but you're selling so much of your soul to get that. And I think to have that balance and awareness to be like, no, I'm going to delay the short term, go for the long-term gratification. And that long-term reward is something that won't make sense to anyone logically now, but in my heart, I'm content. And you have to be so confident in yourself that whatever decision is made, there could be 1,000 people that are against you, but you know that my heart is at peace knowing I made that decision. You know, and that's it, man. Sometimes the real, like, you know, P&L sheets and balance sheets won't add up the way you want them to add up, by your internal balance sheet. You know what I mean?
That's very powerful.
And that's very important to bear in mind. That's very powerful,
because sometimes people will always think about, you know, like, you know, oh, but we lost this much money, but we did that. Oh, he done me over. There's a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that kind of always motivates me. The Prophet ﷺ, may Allah have mercy on the one who is easy when it comes to his financial transactions. Meaning that someone wants a refund, just give it to him. Someone, you know, undercut you, just turn the blind eye. It's not like he took your house, you know what I'm saying? And just that fact that the Prophet said, may Allah have mercy on that person. So if I have mercy on this guy, even though he's kind of being a bit funny, or, you know, he's been a bit, no problem, bro. I didn't even see it. Take the money, you know what I'm saying? But inshallah, I'm going to be recipient of Allah's mercy, inshallah. And if I get mercy, we will get mercy. That's
Faisal was giving us a great actual lesson based on that. There's two things I want to talk about. Remind me to speak about Uber Eats.
Okay.
But the first thing is, based on what you're saying, is Faisal was giving us all a talk the other day at the office, and it was about the 99 names of Allah, and he was explaining to us the difference between being the one that forgives and the one that pardons. You know what I mean? And he explained the difference, and that's an example of that, is to not say that, you know what, it happened, I'll remember it, but I'll forgive you, instead of being like, you know what, it's as if it never happened. I'll pardon it. But that is like, that's a trait of Allah, bro. You know what I mean? That he can literally just pardon you as if, man, like what it is, bro, it just never happened. It never happened. Write it off. But that trait, you think about psychology, how it leads into the Uber Eats thing. I'll try and make these things make sense. The worst segue ever. But it's that, look, think about this, this is how crazy we are as humans. It's a fact that we live in a space where you can go onto your phone, you can find a restaurant, any restaurant in your area. You can find whatever food you want. You can customize it. You know what I mean? You can be pickies, whatever you want. You add it to your cart. It's got a price you want. You even add a discount code. You pay for it. Now some other guy has been triggered to go and pick the food up. A chef is cooking it. Boom, 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 whatever. The food has been made ready for you. Someone's now picking it up, dropping it to you. They come to your door. You're like, no, come upstairs. You know what I mean? You want them to come upstairs to your door. All right, cool. Come up to me, give it to me. Sometimes you even want them to put it here. You know what I mean? Like, all right, cool. Then you feel like you got your service worth. You open a bag and you'll be like, my chips are missing. They need cutlery. Oh man, I can't believe it. Bro, the audacity or that fact that look what just happened. You sat in your seat. You made the world move around you to deliver you food like that. You don't do anything. And you're complaining about this. Now, how it leads into what you're speaking about is, let's say you're not complaining to the organization. Yeah. Bro, they're like, all right, what do you want? Refund? All right, we'll give it to you.
Straight away.
Bro, they'll just refund you. And you'll be, afterwards, I promise you, everyone feels.
You feel bad.
Oh, I'm an idiot.
Well,
you know what I mean?
I
did that for like £1.50.
Stuff.
You know what I mean? So I made them refund. But that's an example of that. It's like the reverse psychology
I
it has.
almost felt like I sinned because they gave me the full amount back.
Yeah.
So
like, imagine they argued. You'd be like, no, everyone has this thing where they like to say it's a matter of principle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So let's ignore that argument. Let's just give you your principle. All right. It's important as well to operate in the business world as well, where you have to understand what matters to the person on the other end.
Mm-hmm.
And there's Bob Iger who used to run Disney for a long time. He had a great way of negotiating, which was like a fair deal was where both parties win. You know, you have something that you want. That's why you're at the table. I'm here because I want something.
Yeah.
Let's just make sure we both get what we want.
Sahih.
Yeah. So just tell me what you want. So his method, and by the way, even since learning this, I've applied it in my practices and it's worked 100% of the time so far. In terms of hiring people, it's worked. In terms of getting business deals done, it's worked. It's been like, look, let's get to the exact point. Let's forget all the, rough around the edges, you trying to play me trying to play you. Just tell me why you're here. Yeah. I'll tell you why I'm here. Yeah. And we've put together, alhamdulillah, bro, like if I told you my dream team for running my operation that I would want to have, let's say 6 months ago, I'd write the names down. But I'd say, man, it's impossible. I don't think I can make that happen. And now, bro, these people are there. You know what I mean? But through these methods of literally being so direct, saying, this is what I want. You know what I mean? Where are you at right now? Okay, do you think you'll be there for a long time? Does it look like an opportunity? We're building something here. Is it exciting for you? Here's what I can do. Even more so than that, what are you currently getting paid? Just tell me. You know what I mean? All right, cool. What would you be increasing in the next year? I'll be going up 15% in my salary. Great. We'll do that 20%. You know what I mean? How about that? So now it's like you just create an environment in which it's like you win and you win some more. But I win because I want you here, which is invaluable to me. You know what I mean? So creating that environment, it helps because no one's being played. Everyone knows what they're getting and they're very happy. They're not going home to their wife saying, oh man, I've been guilt tripped into this, blah, blah. I'm not going home to my wife saying, oh, check what I did. I played this guy. Nah, it's very sincere. I wanted him. He worked. He wanted this. It made happen. But in various environments. And these are like you're saying, just finding those ways of working that everyone is happy. And it's not like a win-win situation.
You know why I think it's so hard for some people to kind of have that attitude is because people who know the world know people. And people that know the world. Yeah. As in they've lived the world. They've experienced the world. Yeah. They've also got to know human beings.
Yeah.
And in that you find human beings are not... they can be a bit funny. Everyone's had bad experiences that have scarred them for life. And I think when it comes to business, having that empathetic, that selfless kind of attitude, and it almost sounds so counterintuitive to say selfless attitude in business where you're trying to make the money, but having that selfless attitude to kind of let people have that space to kind of benefit from you, wherein you have the hope that you can then benefit from them because they will perform for you and be dedicated and come a certain way. I say that cannot come based on you having trust in the person to perform. That can only come when you have trust in Allah to do it for you. And I think that's the difference between, I mean, I don't speak for the kuffar, obviously they have, whatever their motivations are, but for us, we believe Allah is Ar-Razaq. Allah says, Inna Allah huwa Ar-Razaq. After Allah told you that your goal in life is to worship Him alone. I didn't create humans or jinn for any purpose except that they should worship me. Right after that He said, and Allah doesn't ask you for rizq, rather He will provide for you. He is the one who provides. Allah said, whoever fears Allah, he carries out his duties for Allah, Allah will find him a way out. He will provide from ways and avenues that he never imagined. So then the believer believes that, you know what, I might let this person get away with it, or they might get more out of this deal today than I got out of this deal. But in the long run, I know Allah's going to give me the bigger, He's going to give me the bigger prize. Because, and even if He lets me down in the process, even if 10 people let me down in the process, I'm not gonna now start because when you start getting upset with people and start changing your principles for the people, it's kind of like you didn't rely on Allah. You were relying on the people or your own efforts.
Bro, that's so true, man. And again, touching on that, how in this world right now, when we say the people, that's a very arbitrary word, because saying the people is your perception of what you're seeing. So for example, let's say a good example is right now with social media, you know, you might speak, let's say you're going through something, you might say, oh, well, people are saying this about me. Who is the people? You know what I mean? Is it one comment you've seen that's been so negative that it's amplified in your mind? Or is it actually a mathematical out of 100, 70 people said this? That is then the people. But when what you see is it's actually not. What actually tends to be the case is the majority of people are fine. Is those voices that are negative tend to be the loudest because you're not used to hearing them, and they fight with your comfort zone.
You know, that is so true, because me, alhamdulillah, I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, I think it's a bad thing, but I know lots of people. So my ear is in many different circles, unfortunately. And every different circle that I'm in, I hear about a perception about me that is completely different. For example, you speak to non-practicing folks, they seem to really like me. You know what I'm saying? You speak to guys in the streets, maybe ones you've not met, they'll say, yeah, Dawahman's the guy. You speak to, for example, people from this area. Sometimes it's a country, it's a city, and like they got a completely different perception of me. Like, for example, because I know a lot of brothers who study at Medina University, and Medina University has kind of got this. It's a very beautiful environment. If you go, then you focus and you seek knowledge and you benefit from the scholars. But if not, it can be an extremely toxic place. Extremely toxic place, because bro, let's call a spade a spade. There's a lot of jealousy out there. Everyone there, they want to seek knowledge and then also give da'wah, and there's other students that are performing better than other students. So it's like, just take it from me, it can be a very, 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 very toxic environment. So amongst the students, whenever I'm meeting the brothers who are even my friends who study at Medina Uni, they're always telling me, like, they think that the world is hammering me. They think that, for example, I'm being destroyed on social media and everywhere I go and everyone hates me. Why? Because they're only hearing a perception about me that they're receiving from like 10 guys. Do you know what I'm saying? And the reason I want to say that so powerful is because that you might give up on your life dream or change the particular direction that you're going based on what some people have said to you about you or what they think about you. But in the grand scheme of things, that's like 5 people. They're loud. They're heard, but bro, that's not the world. You know what I'm saying? And we do that a lot. Like we take a small set of people and we assume everyone else is like that.
For sure.
That's terrible, man.
Well, you won't ever please the world anyway, man. And the sooner we all learn that, the better it is, because you will never. But you can speak about some of the most achieved people in this world, even celebrities, athletes, whatever it is, man, and they're getting ridiculed. So you know, and if you get emotional about it, you'd be like, it's a bit like, for instance, we don't know a scenario, like let's just take it back to the household. Like you're with your wife and I don't know, you haven't put the bins out on the bin day or whatever it is, and now, you know, she's mad at you. I mean, us as guys are like, yeah, but I do X, Y, and Z. You got mad at that. But the whole point is that by default, you have duties to fulfill. You know what I mean? So we need to know as well that you can't be ranting and raving about, I've done this, I've done that, every time the world throws itself at you. You just got to be like, you know what? I believe in myself. I know that I didn't mean this. You know what I mean? I'll rectify it. I'll keep going. But you can't feed into that negativity and that pressure as well. I think these are just the ways that we've got to evolve our thinking too, you know, that otherwise we stay in a state where, you know, we're always defensive, and if someone says something, we just pounce on them. And also, bro, like you're saying, it distracts you off your trajectory. Like whatever you're trying to get to, whatever was in your mind, you're now on your way there, and along the way, you're just letting everything consume you, and you'll lose the focus of that. And they say hurt people, you know, when someone else can't achieve something, they put it on you. So they'll deflect their pain onto you, not because it's a validation of what you're going through, just because they were unable to do it. And now you have to take that on as a burden. And sometimes, bro, it's the closest people to you. Your uncle might turn around and say, you can't do that. You know what I mean? But it's because he never did it. Sometimes your parents will say that. Now, even when I was younger, someone said to me, I think it was, I don't want to say a name actually because I'll get it wrong, but it's the fact that even your parents, for example, they have a certain duty in our lives. Of course, we're supposed to respect them to the utmost. But when it comes to, let's say, your career, your parents will be able to give you advice. However, just as like anyone else can, they can only give you advice as far as they've gone, because they don't know beyond that. So if your parents say to you, hey, this is how you become an astronaut, and you're not an astronaut, but you want to be an astronaut, really advise you.
Yeah.
You know, so you have, and what people do is, it's like that scenario where it's like, well, my parents want me to do this, but why? You know, you've got to understand the whole scope. And it might be because of their past. It might be because of their insecurities. It might be because they're trying to change the world through you or wherever it is. So you got to keep that balance, you know, and not get lost in it without feeling like you're upsetting everyone and not doing what you want.
Well, like, you know, I remember there was a brother when I started my, I don't know if I can even call it a Dawah project, but when I started the beginnings of what was going to be a Dawah project about a decade ago, I remember I attended a course with a brother, mashallah, who is like who's also a Muslim entrepreneur, Allah Barik, and he had some work that he did in Dawah. And it was a 5-day program, and the program was basically to kind of teach you how to basically, you know, set up a project. And one thing that seemed like the biggest waste of time to me there was that he literally spent, and it was later on I realized how important it was, is that he literally spent a whole day out of those 5 days drilling into us the importance of overcoming criticism that is not qualified. The reason I say that is because not all criticism is bad. Good criticism, which we call advice, is good and it should be taken on. But the reality of the matter is that most of what you're given is unqualified. Like, for example, me, I have a rule. You know, if you want to give me advice with regards to my da'wah, you need to number one, be a person of knowledge and be involved in da'wah in some capacity, because the two go hand in hand. You can't tell me about what I'm doing and you're not involved and you're sitting on a seat or wherever it is that you are, you see. So that's how I kind of, like, someone speaks to me. It's just sometimes someone will give you something good and then neither, you know, there might not even be a guy who's involved in that, and you'll take it on, but you know, you got to kind of filter it through. But as a default, like, my foundation is, if you're talking to me and you're attacking me and you're kind of, you know, just getting at me, do you give da'wah and do you have knowledge? If you have neither of the two, you don't have Islamic knowledge, you don't give da'wah, or it's, I can't even consider, I can't even be hurt, I can't even take it deep, you know what I'm saying? So coming back to this brother, he was just drumming into us the importance. He was talking about how, you know, criticism is like a dragon, and, you know, hate is a dragon, you know, like, it destroys you. Again, I'm not talking about advice. Advice is good, and that doesn't mean people are hating on us, but, you know, criticism, and it's like, it destroys people. So in my mind, I was thinking, bro, I'm a confident guy. Like me, I will go out there and take over the world if I have to. You know, I'm not scared of no one. I don't care what anyone says, and sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. And I listened to what he said, and I was like, cool, no problem. And then I would do my da'wah, and I would get criticized, and I would get hate, and I've always been getting hate from the beginning. Like, whatever I do, I always do it bold, and I always do it in your face. So someone, you know, people are not gonna like that. So I've always been getting that criticism. But then the criticism started to get closer to home. As in, meaning people that I was closer to, people that I really respected, who I loved, who I looked up to, people who I did see as, like, you know, my, like, as in my inner circle. And then it would get more and more and more, and then the criticism would intensify and intensify. And then I realized to myself, subhanAllah, without even realizing that I had actually started to bring my critics into my boardroom, and they would be making my decisions for me. Whereas we have a board, me, Abu Bakr, my brother, and Guled. And when there's big decisions to be made, we're the ones that make those decisions. But not just me, all four of us, there would be a invisible, like, board member there. And that was just what we would call the criticism dragon. Do you understand? That's what the brother called it back in the day. So I was thinking, what? That's nuts. Like, and I was doing this for like 2 years. I was actually making decisions every day, decisions that were actually limiting decisions, where I could have reached for the stars and done projects that, inshallah, with Allah's permission, could have helped many people. But I was worried people are going to say, oh, you know what, akhi, you know, this name, it just sounds too raw. Or, you know, and, you know, or this and that. And we just stopped until we met a good brother, a good friend. His name's Abbas. And he reminded me about the importance of just not giving a damn what people say. You know what I'm saying? And me and my brother looked at each other and we were like, yo, bro, you know what, yeah? What the hell has happened to us over the last couple of years? We've actually listened to what these jokers and they're nobodies, with all due respect. So then we said, you know what? We're going to start up a project called Mad Thing in the Masjid. And Mad Thing in the Masjid.
Oh, that was the t-shirt that he's wearing.
That was the t-shirt he's wearing, yes. But I'm saying that project right there, with Allah and his permission alone, we got a whole areas, whole gangs that have been changed.
Yeah.
We've got some of the biggest drug dealers that are left behind the streets because of that project right there.
Wow,
And people till today are complaining, but why do you call it mad thing in the masjid? We've got a project called Umar with the Mandim, where we've taken, bro, it like, I don't even want to talk about it, but people who know how far that project's gone. And till today, people are complaining about it. And I'm thinking, like, if I was taking in what they were saying, and the name is not haram, there's nothing Islamically like wrong about having such a name. You know what I'm saying? And I would just listen to what people's preferences are, take them on board and let them govern my life. Like, I would have not done certain things that I wanted to do. Like, one thing I get criticized for is doing like events for sisters. Now, there's a difference of opinion amongst scholars whether a man can teach a woman without a veil or he doesn't need a veil. I'm inclined to the view where you don't need a veil to teach a woman, because the Prophet ﷺ would teach the women without a veil when he's the one whose example that we follow. So there's this discussion that takes place. And I'm with that view. Does that make sense? Without going into the details of it. So I'll do events for sisters. And whenever I do a sisters event, bro, it's nuts, the criticism. To the point where even some brothers who are on our team don't do the events with me anymore because of the criticism. So yesterday we had an event, I did it alone. Because last minute we even tried to get barriers and whatnot, so we did it alone. And I know when it comes out online, criticism is going to be nuts, but what people don't realize is, bro, there's girls there that don't pray. There's girls there that sleep around with men. There's girls that take drugs. There's girls there that some of them on the verge of apostasy, leaving Islam. You know what I'm saying? So if I was to care about the criticism that people are throwing my way, I would not have gone to a room filled with these sisters whose dads are not teaching them, whose brothers are not teaching them, husbands are not teaching them, brothers are not teaching them. And I wouldn't have been able to reach out to them and teach them about Tawheed. And, then they're crying and making Tawbah, we're going to change our life and start putting on hijab and start praying and doing this, that, and the other. I wouldn't have done that if I was listening to people's criticism. So that concept of criticism, I think, is devilish.
But also, bro, you have such a different audiences, man. And I think, it's quite an advanced trait as a human to be empathetic, and especially when you're trying to understand, let's say, you, and look, because one of the things is understanding you through a lens of my bias, my perception of whoever I am, and then like making a judgment on you. However, if you look past that, your message and who it's going to, it's contextualized for those audiences, and knowing how to connect with them. There's a certain way of speaking that you have that is unique to you, and because it's unique, it's bolder. Also, because it's unique, it might actually penetrate better to an audience than it might to another. So I think that in itself works for those audiences, and hence why they even come to you. On that topic of contextualizing your advice, I've actually taken so much advice from you because of the way that you'll give the advice. So even when I remember when the first time I met you, I think I just got married or something. I was speaking to you about various things, man, just very early on. And then you were giving me advice, but so like literally it was everything I didn't expect. You know what I mean? I thought maybe, he's gonna be mad at me because of this and tell me not to do this. But instead I was like, look, bro, this is what I'm going through. I'm sharing it with you. And both you and your brother very, made me feel very comfortable. But then the advice you gave, I didn't implement it. I came back to you, and I didn't remember when I told you I was having my daughter, and you cried. You know what I mean? I came to your house, I told you, and you started crying. I never forget that moment, bro. I was sitting opposite sofas, and it was amazing. Where the night we had pizza that night at your house. Yeah, mashallah. And but things like that are experiences you don't forget, man. Because one, it showed me how much you care about the individual you're speaking to, and how important it is to make sure that person gets the right message, and not only gets a message, but then implements it, and then comes back to you with having implemented it, and then the result from Allah, which is in the form of a child. You know what I mean? And even that, a daughter. You know what I mean? And that was like incredible, bro, to me. Like that moments like that. And then another example, when I came to the masjid, I spoke to you and the sheikh about, our business, and we had this decision to make over 2 businesses we could run. And one was, there were certain elements of it which I was a bit doubtful of, whether I'd be like, crossing a line. And another was Feed Source, what we're doing now, in fact, which I've just put this team in place for, I was telling you. And, I was actually very much leaning towards the other idea, hence why I was trying to come and get the advice, because I almost wanted to just get that yes. But I knew in my heart that there was something that wouldn't connect. Down the line, I would be in like uncharted territory. So, but with this Feed Source idea, it was a lot easier. But I think, again, me overcoming that and speaking to you guys who made me feel so comfortable, where I normally feel scared. And Faisal would say to me, bro, listen, why don't you just get someone's advice? Because I didn't know. And he took me to you guys, and I spoke to you. I said, hey, how about this? And you guys, okay, you can do it like this, and this is how, and this is why. But then you did it in a way which you understood the way I think and said, well, here are all the positives. And me understanding that, okay, these guys aren't here to gun my ideas down, gun my dreams down. You understood, okay, this is a guy that wants to, achieve his dreams, wants to build something. Let's instead frame it in a way where we show him all the things that he can do. And bro, to this day, man, for example, in our operation as well, like there's certain type of brands we don't work with that are impermissible. We just, and we have customers, bro, of all walks of life. And we just tell them, look, we don't take on products like this, unfortunately. And they understand, we have people that place orders with us that have paid us money, and then we refund the money. And we say to them, look, it's not under our brand policy. We can't work with this type of company. And it's very clear. But again, it always comes back to that day I sat with you and Ustad, man, and the way you guys spoke to me. So that's what I'm saying. Coming from that place, I would come to you for certain advice, knowing that the way you frame it. Now, if you shied at me and said, bro, that wouldn't work for me. You know what I mean? By you understanding the conversation for your audience, that's what I'm saying. It's hard to, if I sat in certain classes of you, even I might be like, nah, this is, you know what I mean? Yeah. But again, you're dealing with the right people in the right environments.
That's the thing. But I think it's so hard for some people to realize is because, like I said, like da'wah is so diverse. You have to give da'wah to Muslims and non-Muslims. And within Muslims, there's different sects. And even if you're not looking at it from the sexes, people have different problems, different issues. Some are on the streets, some are doing drugs, some are clubbing, some are lazy, some are, extreme, some are liberal. So everyone's got a different way to kind of deal with. And, this is something that was amazing about the Prophet, he was always, wisdom is to place the right thing in its right place. That's what the Arabs say. وَضْعُ الشَّيْءِ فِي مَوْضِعِهِ. To place the right thing in the right place. So wisdom is to shout when you need to, to be quiet when you need to. So obviously, I've got it wrong many times, but the Prophet got it right every time. And that's why we just try to get that from there.
In your household, I always find, because there's so many of us of my friend circle now who are married, having kids, and a lot of our conversation as men, and I think this is why I was excited to speak to you on this podcast as well, is because we're in a new kind of generation where men are starting to talk. Men are starting to have conversations that we never have before, and in a very comfortable way. Because we go through situations and it's as if like it never happened. We're too strong to speak about it, or like, what, it would be right for me to say this. But when we actually talk about topics, it makes such a big difference, man. And things that like in your, I think come back to what we were speaking about earlier in terms of delayed gratification, even in, let's say, a marriage environment. You'd think traditionally, or like the way that culturally men can be, it's like, no, this is the law, I'm going to set it and you abide by it because it's my house. But instead, like I learned things that were like, your house is, you have a queen in your house and it's her kingdom. You know what I mean? And bro, like the way that she runs, man, it's beautiful. And it's like you're creating an environment in which you in fact are like, all right, you tell me, you know what I mean? Like, all right, I won't do that, you know what I mean? Like how is it supposed to be? I'm not going to say what should and shouldn't be done, and making you step your game up. And all us brothers that have stepped our game up in the house, we've seen it reap great rewards outside of the house. Because when you come home, let's say, for instance, you come home at 6 p.m, you've had a long day at work, you don't want to bring that stress home. Your wife don't want to see that stress. Instead, you understand that you have 3 parts of your day. You have the morning, which is pre-work. You then have your work day, and you have another day when you go home. But being conscious that you don't think that your day is just being at work. That's not your day. That's part of your day. That's 33% of your day. You also have a duty that when you go home to treat that as a brand new day. The energy you bring home, the way you make your family feel, the energy you set, because then that reciprocates. So when you're in certain environments where you now need to, let's say, focus on something, you need like, okay, babe, for a week, I've got to do this. I'm going to be very busy. You know what I mean? Can I? But then you've got that space. To give it to you. Yeah, because like when my husband come home, it's like the most enjoyable times we ever had. You know what I mean? But then, so we're going to miss him for this week, but we know that he wouldn't want to do it because he has so much fun around us that it's also going to be hard for him. So we're both going to sacrifice. But again, you can't go into let's say you go the other approach, which is I'm doing this, leave me alone. You know what I mean?
So do you have any advice for people on that? Because like me being a person who has those parts to my day, each part of the day being so intense. Like for example, being at home is intense. You know, when you got a family, you got parents, you got kids, there's family issues. That's intense, and then work is intense. Like a business environment is tense. That was intense. Do you have any advice for myself or anyone watching of how you kind of manage to kind of close things in your brain in one way, just so you can maybe not kind of spill over all of the baggage from one part of your day to the other part of your day, so you can give the best to your family?
That's a great question, bro. That's a great question. And it's funny because we speak about this so often.
Personally, I struggle with that.
Wow, really?
Yeah,
like in between, like, you know, dealing with so many different people and so many things,
yeah,
right?
I mean, in a sense where in the moment, like if something mad happens at work and I'm going home, it's like it will just, I'll carry it home. I can't.
Right,
I'll carry it home.
I understand.
I was gonna try and flavor it out,
no,
but I carry
but
it
bro,
home.
I used to be like that a lot more.
Not that I take it out on my family or anything like that, but it's just
Yeah.
my mental. I'm not able to be 100 for my family. I'm on the phone. I'm just trying to deal with the problem. So I would really like to benefit from you here.
No, I understand that, man. Bro, I go through the same things, by the way. So, you know, I think one thing is, in my mind, I create an environment in which I accept that there's always going to be peaks and troughs. You know what I mean? I can't anticipate I'm going to have a smooth day every day.
Okay.
So I have to already be mentally prepared that there's going to be challenges. However, you have to compartmentalize. I never used to do this. I used to be on my laptop in the evening at home. You know what I mean? And then it took for my wife to say, look, you're present, but you're not present. You know what I mean? And for me to understand that what she meant by that is I'm there, but I'm not really mentally there. So you're talking to me, but I'm like half on my phone. Bro, my daughter now, the other day I bought her a puzzle. Like and this Disney puzzle she wanted, I bought a gift for her and we started doing it. She goes, Daddy, show me how to do it. You know what I mean? She didn't know how to do it. So I was like, okay, I'll sit with you. So I started opening it and because she said, Daddy, teach me. So I thought so cute. I got my phone out. So I say, what did you just say? Because I created these memories for her. And she said, put your phone away on the camera. And I saved that. Because that's such a big memory to me. I was like, even that, where she said, Daddy, teach me as a child. And I'm getting gassed because I'm like, oh, she's asked me to teach her something. That's so cool. I want to remind her. But instead, it's like, she's like, put your phone away. Like, just teach me. Just be here for the sake of being here with me. And I think recently in my relationships, and bro, when I say recent, I'm saying in the last 6 months. Try to have relationships with people around me in which my interaction with them is unique to my interaction with them. They get every part of me and it's only between us. Bro, there were times when, you know, I can admit it myself, I would, you know, have environments in which I would do something for someone, but then my intention wasn't all the way, like it was, I knew my heart I meant right, but also wanted to be like, hey, I did this, you know what I mean? Like try for someone, let someone else know. And that it would hit me because I'd be like, that's poisonous. Like, why am I being like that? And it really took for me to be like, you know what? When I understood how the other person felt, I was like, man, like what if I actually had all the relationships around me for the sake of that relationship? Like my mum, that would be between my mum, my dad, that would be between me and him, with Faisal. And that had a massive impact. So I think one is not letting your intentions be all over the place. And then I think secondly, in terms of actually dealing with the stress, it was given everything its time and space. You know, when I'm home in the evening, let's say, for example, my daughter started going nursery. We had a conversation 2 weeks ago. I knew she was going nursery, but my wife said, hey, by the way, you're going to have to, because I've got the car right now. She was like, you know, you're going to have to pick her up at like 3 or whatever, because I don't want to send her for a full day just yet. I want to ease her in. Bro, immediately my body, you know, my mind goes into shock and you get defensive. You're like, but I've got, in your head, my head saying, but I've got to work. You know what I mean? I've got to work till 5, 6. But I didn't say it in my words. Instead, I took a minute, I processed it, and I was like, why is she saying that? What should I say? How should I behave as a dad, as a husband? And I was like, you know what? It's fine. I'll make it work. And that, I could have easily been like, oh, but, you know, I've got, But it's so easy to trip up like that and try and put the wrong priorities in. But I'd be like, you know what? That's my daughter. I would have, if I didn't have a child, I would do anything to have a child. Then to have a daughter who needs her dad. You know what I mean? So I've been given a position which you dream about when you're younger. It's like, oh, I wish I could pick my kid up from school. But I've been given it on a plate. And my wife at the same time saying, hey, can you help me out and just pick her up? And me to come out with, oh, I've got to work. So I had to, and even now, for example, I'm here right now, bro, straight after this, I've got to go pick my daughter up from nursery. But I've got plenty of work to do today. I've got plenty of stresses going on right now. But I have to know that, okay, I'm here with you. My phone's over there. I text whoever needs to text, said, look, I can't answer my phone. Faisal's there. If it's urgent, message him. He's there. Anything else can be dealt with later. After this, pick my, Faisal said to me earlier on, bro, are you going back to the office? I need to get to the office. Probably not. I've got to pick my daughter up. I've got to go there. I pick her up. After that, my wife said to me on the weekend, hey, can we go to the shop? I said, after work. You know, so then knowing that, look, I'm going to drop her home, but I've got to get to the office for 3 hours. So it's just communicating with everyone, but not fighting all the time. So being at home and not trying to be like, I'm dealing with my work, knowing that, no, this ain't important right now, unless it's absolutely like critical, which is very, very rare that someone will be like so critical, you know?
Yeah. No, barakallah fi akhi, man. You mentioned so many good things there, but there's one thing that I really want to pick up on that really just impacted me, what you said. and I think it's like, we might go off on a slight tangent, but I think it's really, really powerful, especially for brothers that are watching this right now who might be just new parents or soon to be parents or will be parents one day. You said, I've got to be there for my daughter. Now I'm going to go off on a bit of a tangent here, and it will make sense to you why that impacted me so much. So I have an email address where people email me all sorts of problems. I told you earlier, I have a show where people call in and then we kind of deal with their issues. Most of the people that call in is girls, is sisters. And my email inbox is flooded with women. There's many different variables that brothers don't like to ask for advice too much, whatever have you. But you can tell that there's with our sisters, there seems to be some really deep kind of problems, right?
Like generalized that they all tend to have, like you're saying.
Yeah, there's deep emotional issues, insecurity issues, and it kind of always manifests in them doing something mad, like sleeping with a guy or jumping from guy to guy or being in a relationship with some crazy guy and whatever have you. And for the last 10 years, I've noticed that as a constant theme, like the girls are really, really in a bad place, you know what I'm saying? And they're constantly being played and they're being violated by guy after guy. And even the most shy, sweet, innocent looking girl from the outside has got these issues. And every now and again, even she slips up with a guy that messages her on her Instagram or whatever. And she just kind of ends up in the wrong place at the wrong time. And so on and so forth. So when I looked at all of these girls, in trying to give them advice and process it in, what they kind of been through. Because in order to give someone advice where they need to go, you need to know where they came from.
Right.
So one thing that I noticed with pretty much all of them, like even right now, I can't think of one girl who didn't have this issue, is that they had absent fathers. Either their father was absent as in he just wasn't there, or as you said, he was present but not present. Do you know what I'm saying? And subhanAllah, you see women, the way Allah Azza wa Jal made them is that they need the love of a man. They need a man in their life, you know what I'm saying? And the first love that a woman has to have is her father. Because if she's lacking the love of a father, then that void will forever remain. Now, she needs to fill it. It's a natural thing that Allah placed in her. So she will try to fill it. And no matter how righteous or pious she is, but when any guy comes by and gives her attention, she's going to struggle for the life of her to not give in. And that's why a lot of our sisters, they end up with guys, for example, like are drug dealers. And you think, like, sister, you could have done way better. Why are you not honoring yourself? Why are you not respecting yourself? Why are you doing this? You know why? It's because she never had a man in her life that told her she was beautiful. Just the local, joke man just came by one day and said, yo, babe, you're kind of right, And that meant the world to her. You know what I'm saying? And although I'm not justifying them for what they do, because at the end of the day, you can't blame another person for your wrongs, but you also have to empathize and understand what creates an environment for people to behave in a certain way. So these girls, like, they just needed a dad to say to them, I love you, you're my princess. And I remember one thing that one of my teachers, he mentioned to me, that he says to his daughter, he says, I give her every word in the book. I tell her, you're my love, you're my princess, you're the most beautiful one, you're my special one, you're my girl, everything. You know what I'm saying? He says, the reason
Give
I
me
say
chills, bro.
He said the reason I say this to her is because I know guys are gonna come and say this to her. And I don't want her, and I want her to have received it from me so much to the point where if a guy comes by and says, you're beautiful, she looks at him and says, gross. That's what my dad says to me. You know what I'm saying? So he was like, I want to be able to get into her so much that I've already given that to her. So that when she does find a man, of course, in an Islamic halal appropriate way, he's better than me.
Wow. Bro, you know what? That's so incredible. And someone said, Faisal might know where we heard this, that daughters are guests in your house.
Oh wow, that's
you know
deep.
what I mean? So
Deep.
so treat them as a guest.
Yeah, well, that's very deep.
So when you have them, bro,
she's gonna leave one day.
She's gonna leave, and she's there for what, 20 years? You know what I mean? So you've got to treat her as that. So as if someone comes to your house, how do you treat them? You know what I mean? You give them everything.
That's deep. You're gonna make me cry,
bro. Trust me, bro. The amount of times that goes through my mind, man. I'm like, it hits me, bro. So when she asks for something, bro, I just can't help but say yes. Like, she'll be like, I want this, and of course, as long as she's not being naughty or whatever, bro, I'm like, yeah, like, you got it. Anything, bruv. So, she likes learning right now, bro. And I went and actually didn't know this. What happened is last week I came home from work and she was playing with my stepsister. You know what I mean? And they were just playing with Lego. And I went up to her, came from work. I went to give her a hug. She goes, "No, daddy, don't kiss me." Yeah, because like, she was playing. I said, I can kiss you. I'm your dad. She goes, no, you're not my dad. You know what I mean? But as in, like, she was messing around. She's like little. She's 3. I mean, she didn't like. She just reacting. Bruv, I swear I was about to cry. You know what I mean? Yeah. And my wife was there like, yo, don't worry. Like, you know what I mean? She's just playing. You're disturbing her. She's got a bit angry. Bro, the next day I went and got this like whiteboard to put downstairs to teach her how can I know she had educating around. I bought a new pencil case. Bro, I just went so overboard as a dad. Because I'm like, no, like you, even though it didn't even mean anything, like from her end, it's just that as a dad, you're like, I will do anything to have you love me and to know that I love you. You know what I mean? It's so insane,
but
bro.
you know what I don't understand, Akhi, is how there are fathers that don't feel like that.
Wow.
Like me, bro, like when I look at my daughter, you know, I'm a bit weird. Like I'm a bit like I live in worst case scenarios. You know what I'm saying? So when I look at my daughter sometimes, like it's like my love for her leads me to like, this might sound a bit crazy, but you know, everyone's different and their thought process is different. So it's like when you love something, you're always scared for something bad to happen. So I always think of like someone trying to violate my daughter. You know what I'm saying? Or like some guy trying to violate my daughter. And I feel so like bro, like sometimes I have borderline violent thoughts. Like what would happen if I saw a guy trying to violate my daughter?
Bro, you're not the only one that thinks that, trust me.
But I'm thinking like there are men that don't even feel like anything. Like, you know what I'm saying? When I see recently, you know how you said that, you know, sometimes you got that thing at home where you'll be able to say to your family like, look, I'm busy for a couple of weeks, so I'm gonna give you what you need after. So we're kind of going through that phase right now. I've been doing like 6 a.m. in the office till 10, 11 p.m. So when I go home, it's like my daughter's sleeping, and I try to always get home maybe like 10, 15 minutes before, just so I can read some Quran to her, because I want to make sure my wife, she reads Quran to her and plays it to her all day, every day. But I just want to make sure she hears it from me. You know what I'm saying? Every day. So last couple of days, it's like she's asleep before I get home. Now I'm not like an overly like emotional kind of guy. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but it's just, you know, even me, like things that I would hear other brothers say, like, bro, like, you know, that I would think, well, I don't feel like that. Like I would kind of feel like, all right, I didn't get to see her today. You know what I'm saying? So I find myself coming home like 10, 15 minutes earlier just so I could see her.
So check this, bro. I feel the same way sometimes. What's even better then is like, just imagine tomorrow you woke up and you didn't even go to work. And you said, stay, I'm with you the entire day. You know what I mean? No one expected. Tomorrow, you go home tonight and be like to your wife, tomorrow, you go do what you want. It's just me and my daughter today. You know what I mean? Bro, I do that with my daughter. Sometimes when I not feel it and I'm like, even though I'm like I don't come home that late anyway, but let's say I felt it, I've had busy times. Bro, it would just be a random Thursday. I might have a whole to-do list of things I've got to do work-wise. It's not getting done today. I'll write it off on my head. It's not important. You know what I mean? She wants to go trampolining, we go trampolining. You know what I mean? But it's just like, so sometimes something so abrupt that shifts your plates. But it's like, that makes a big difference because your wife didn't expect it, your daughter didn't expect it, you didn't expect it, but it was so meaningful. And it's such a great sign as a father to be like, let me just show you as well as my daughter and to myself that there are moments in my life that I can switch off and nothing in the world matters but you. And at any time I can do that. And you need to sometimes do things like that to remind yourself, bro, that you have that self-control to just be like, boys, you handle it today, work, I'm not there. And if you got the right people around you, bro, I promise you, they will understand that and be like, we've got you, bro.
Well, like, as you know, and it's such a blessing to have that kind of environment. But you know, I really want brothers to really understand what you just said there. It's not even just like it's an emotional thing that I just want to spend time with my daughter. You have to understand, if you don't spend time with her, there is a guy that's going to spend time with her.
I hear what you're saying.
She's going to grow up and there's going to be, if you don't take her out on dates, there's going to be a guy that's going to take her out on dates. And then you're going to sit on the sideline like, what happened?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? So if you don't give your daughter what she needs, bro, trust me, there's going to be a shaitan that's going to try and give her what she needs.
Bro, I hear that, man. You know, there is I actually, when I got married to my wife, I got to know what her family was like, and she'd always speak so highly of her dad, and I got to know her dad. And then the way he is at home trained me in so many ways, like without me even realizing. For example, it sounds so silly, but I'm happy to admit it, bro. It's like I would go to a house and like he would do all the ironing, for example. You know what I mean? He's cooking all the food. He used to be a chef, cooking all the food, bro. Like banging food. Yeah. But yeah, you know, mum says something, bro. He's like, she's like, hey, can you do this for me? Bro, he's not like, yeah, I'll come in a minute. Bro, he gets up that moment, even if he's watching football that he loves. Get up that minute. Bro, but like as if it's just nothing to him. You know what I mean? It's not even like he's doing it because someone's there. Bro, I witnessed that so much. that I'd never seen it in my life. You know what I mean? I was, that's incredible. Like, he just, you know what I mean? Just whatever his family needs, he's on. And then my wife would always say that as we grew up, you know, he'd always pick us up and drop us to school. Like, if we were ill, he'd pick us up. Or like, if we went food shopping, he'd take all 4 of our siblings. You know what I mean? Just because he didn't want to even leave anyone out. So then now that we got married and I see in a house, when we first got married, I wouldn't have like all the best habits in a house. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't know, like, all right, like if I put my plate in the sink, I'd be like, oh, I'll wash it later. You know what I mean? Or whatever, things like that. But then I realized that she comes up from a house and raised in a way where the man takes such pride in the house as well. You know what I mean? Helps around the house. You know what I mean? Whatever needs to be done, he's there. And creating that environment and seeing that she's been raised in a certain type of way, bruv, made me step my level up. And be like, now, bruv, I'm not satisfied if there's a bit of like, let's say you cooked and you haven't like swept the floor. Bro, I'm not waiting for someone to do it. I'm not going to do it later. It doesn't even set right with me. But it's still, like you're saying, bro, the standards have been set by the fathers previously. So like, this is the household. Now,
you got to live up to it.
But now I've got that for my daughter though. So now even I'm conscious of that because now I have a daughter and a son too. But with a daughter, bro, I want to be able to her to know that, look, like, if you get married and when you get married, inshallah, to know that, like, if he's not pulling his weight, yeah, the example was set to you. You know what I mean? And I want to set that example so you have a reference point. Because I've been on that side now as a husband, knowing that my wife has a reference point, like what you're saying. So, like, bro, you're so right. That as fathers is so critical. You might think they're mundane things, it's not important, but they see everything, they hear everything. My daughter was getting ready this morning for nursery before I dropped her, bro. And she got dressed, and I was on my phone dealing with some family matter. And she goes, Daddy, look at me. You know what I mean? Because she just wanted me to tell you she's beautiful. But that was it. Her mum got ready. Her mum was saying she's beautiful. But she said, Daddy, look at me. And I was on my phone, bro. I put my phone down immediately, man. I was like, picked her up. You look gorgeous. You look beautiful, mashallah, bro. Like the whole way driving there before she went. Bro, it's just because you're like, she's a 3-year-old that's coming to her dad and saying, look at me. I'm important. You know what I mean? What you're about to say is going to make me feel good. And I'm asking you to look at me because I know you're going to make me feel good about myself. That's that confidence you're speaking about that father can put in his daughter.
Bro, you know, I've seen it also in my brother's daughter. Like, it's actually very profound because my brother's daughter, Allah barik, he used to bring her from when she was like 1, 2 to the masjid, to the classes, which is something that's very encouraged, you know, to bring your kids to the circles of knowledge. This is like a side point, just benefit for the parents. You know,
this is so important to me, by the way, to be honest, because I'm actually at that point right now as a dad, which how can I get my daughter more involved in these type of things, bro? So I'd love to hear this.
So this is a beautiful benefit. You know, there's a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ where there was a woman, she took her baby to Hajj, and then she asked the Prophet ﷺ, does my child get the reward for Hajj? And the Prophet said, yes.
Wow.
So, of course, the child would have to then, when they reach puberty, redo it again to uplift the obligation, but they get the reward. So the scholars took a beautiful benefit from it, which is that, you know, kids, they don't get bad deeds written for them before they hit puberty, but they get good deeds written for them. Wow. So, you know, as parents, we always want to invest in our kids. You know, we set them savings accounts and this and that and whatever have you, so that when they're older, they've already got a pool of kind of money and, you know, assets to kind of bounce off. They said, but what we as parents, what we kind of neglect is the spiritual investments. Like when a child is young, you know, take them to the masjid in a circle of knowledge. They don't even understand what's happening, but they get the reward for being there.
Wow.
You know, take them to Umrah, take them to Hajj, take them to all these things before they hit puberty. Even sometimes they're not even conscious of it. Like that baby wasn't conscious of the Hajj, but they got the reward of Hajj. And imagine that, like they hit the ground running in terms of the spirituality. And even if they were to slip up every now and again, which humans do make mistakes, on the day of judgment, when their sins and their good deeds are weighed, it's like before they hit puberty, and it could be a decade before they hit puberty, sometimes a decade and a half, because kids, you know, the maximum is 15, at the age of 15. It's like you've invested in this child so much good deeds that even if, Allah forbid, they were to fall off their deen, they've got an ocean of good deeds waiting there. So that was a side point. So my brother would take his daughter to the masjid for that reason.
That's amazing.
And the scholars would do this, you know, they would take their kids that couldn't even understand, hadn't even reached the age of distinguishing, which is like 7, to circles of knowledge where they would write, where hadith were being narrated and the names would be written. So he would bring her, and me, Abu Bakr and Abbas and Guled, who are all like my brother's like close friends, we'd always be at the masjid together. And then we've got this girl that's going there with us back and forth. And she had so much attention from these guys. Now, of course, you have to be careful in this day and age because a lot of filthy, crazy guys, and some brothers, you know, they might have friends that have some perverted kind of mindset. So you got to kind of know who you kind of let into your daughter's life as it is anyway. Unfortunately, I see these evil things, so I have to kind of put that out there. But at the end of the day, you know, we're like a family. We are all a family. So my brother, I'm chatting to his daughter. Abbas is chatting to her. Like I remember before she could even actually speak properly, Abbas would just sit there and speak to her. How was your day today? And she's there like, no, just talking nonsense. And he's just like, oh really? Wow. Yeah, I thought that as well. And I actually remember after him having those kind of conversations with her, she actually started to kind of like develop her speaking a lot more. So the point I'm trying to get at is that she got so much attention from people, from guys, that she's so confident right now. To the point where you go to her right now and you say to her, I say to her, and I mention her name, I say, yo, I love you. I say, Taya loves you. She goes, I know Taya loves me. You love me, right? I know you love. Like she's so confident, and that's not bad at this age.
Yeah,
it's not bad at this age, because at this age they can't get arrogant, they can't get cocky. But what it is she's a happy kid. She's got confidence. She's brave, and you know what it is? She's got a younger sister, my brother's second daughter. She's like trying to give her that love. You see her giving her that love. She's like, making sure that her younger sister's okay. But the flip side is if you don't do that, she's got anxiety issues. She's depressed. She's got low self-esteem. She's timid. She's this. You know what I'm saying? So when you give her that kind of love and that attention, it brings out so much good in them.
100%, bro. These are important responsibilities, man. That's so beneficial to me, by the way, bro. I really appreciate that, man, because often, now when I was expecting my daughter, my brother would say things to me like, man, you got to be on point with this and this and this. And you was thinking, that's a couple years away. That's a few years away, blah, 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 whatever. And now you're in that position. And you're like, whoa. Like he just texted me yesterday. He goes, look, there's this Islamic school that our nephews go to and everything. And it's a really good school, mashallah. And he was like, look, it's a 2-year waiting list. Sign her up now. That's 2 years away. But it's true. Like we've got to do that now because when she's 4 or 5, she's going to have to go there. But you can't worry about those things then. So I think it's important for us to, think in advance, whether it's in 6 months down the line or whether it's 18, 20 years down the line, like what you're saying. We've got to be conscious as parents to know that we've been given, a gift. To have a child, bro, you know enough people, as do I, who would do anything to have a child. So you've been given something that people can't have sometimes, you know what I mean? So you have something now. Now on top of that, it's a daughter who's even more special. And then you have a responsibility as a dad to really instill the right values there, man. And you have to consciously do it. And you have to be empathetic. It doesn't matter if a child. Children are so smart. You know what I mean? They feel things. Proper. You know what I mean? And from an early age, man, those things you implement in their lives are going to be profound for the rest of their lives, man.
Let me ask you a question. Do you feel like having a child made you a better person?
Oh, bro, that's without a shadow of a doubt. Bro, we got another one on the way now.
We've got
another one due in January, inshallah. So we're going to have 3.
Yeah,
bro. Yeah, bro. Children are like, man, I don't know how I operate without kids, man. Now, alhamdulillah, we got like nephews and, so many people in the family coming up. So it's so nice. But I think, bro, I think the biggest thing it did for me is me, myself, I've experienced depression before. I've been very, very low before. And I know that one is being a creative. When you're a creative person, you are incredibly passionate, but you're also very sensitive. Yeah. So you go through these highs of being like,
is that an actual link, like between creativity and sensitivity?
Yeah.
That explains,
it happens. So what happens is people that have these creative traits that they feel they can envision the way they want something to be, and are so, you envision it as if it's a done deal. Yeah. And now it's like you're talking back to people who can't see that, only you can. So you run with that, and that allows you to do 2 things. One, be so motivated and high on that energy, but also incredibly sensitive, because anyone that contests that, you feel upset. So then you go into these deep lows because you're like, you don't believe in me. You don't. And then you're trying to give any references in the real world to what it could be. So for instance, like I love looking at the way things are done. Like, I'm obsessed with like, the how people came up. Like, for example, like Jeff Bezos runs Amazon. You know what I mean? So successful operationally. But then you look back at interviews in 1999, which you see on YouTube, where people were sitting with him, calling him crazy, saying like, who are you to think this can be done? Bro, but he's got conviction in his eyes. He's like, I know. I don't care what you say. I know. You know what I mean? And of all the people that would now say, oh, if I did this, if I like supported him, invested, bro, you know what I mean? But bro, like you imagine he lived in 2020 in 1999.
Wow.
So you're in 2020 living in 2040.
Wow.
So you got to have that conviction in yourself. But like I'm saying, when you're that type of person, bro, you deal with hypersensitivity. So then you get those things where you feel into these emotions. So by having kids, by the way, if I'm saying that, is that I would have these huge highs and lows. And having my children allowed me to have like a kind of a balance.
Okay.
So that when I'm at work, I can implement like that intensity of like that drive, that passion that we're going here at any cost. But when I'm home, it's incredibly calm. It's like, it's as if I'd never even had those ideas because I'm just sitting there like, bro, just watching them play Lego and bricks and whatever. You know what I mean? And then I can also engage in my wife talking about things that are just like, you know, with your wife, you talk about anything. Yeah. So, you know, you're speaking that you're not thinking that everything needs to be like high level motivational, but you also don't get depressed because you're speaking to your wife who loves you. Oh, wow. So that's what this home environment created for me. Yeah. And the energy in a home balance you basically is so important, bro. I think that energy, man, that vibe, that when you step in the yard, if it's a home, that warmth, that like, bro, our living room is upstairs. So I come in the house, bro, first of all, I'll show you photos, bro. When I leave the house, yeah, bro, true story. Every day, our window looking outside over the driveway is a sofa. So the kids jump on the sofa and look out the window and knocking as I'm driving off. So I'm saying bye to them. I come back, bro, at 6 p.m. They're in the window. Wow. You know what I mean? And I come in the house. Know the time, I come in the house, bro. You start hearing them because we have baby gates at the top of the stairs. They're like on the gates.
No way.
Yeah, like dad. Like my little one, the boy does that, and Sienna's waiting upstairs for me. Boy can't say Assalamu alaikum, bro. Even in the morning now, you wake up in the morning, they're in their room. You go in there, she's like, Daddy, I'm awake, bro. But that energy, it's like you wake up, like, bro. She's running to you like, Daddy, I'm awake. But that's that, bro. You have to create that, and that's what has a profound impact on your life, doesn't it?
Well, it does. You know what you just said. I just want to, sorry, because you say so many good things.
Bro.
No, and I want to pick up on all of it.
Of course.
Because I think, you know, sometimes you forget when you drop, like, you know, when you live something, it's natural to you. But for people, they might not pick up on it, you know what I'm saying? So there's something that you said about the importance of living in the future. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So with business, but even with family, so you hear people talk about these things like, you know, you got to live 20 years ahead in terms of business, but in terms of family. And you see me recently, like I started, and you know, like I said, my mind's a bit funny, right? So people might even think, why do you even think like this? But I think it's actually very, very healthy as a parent to think like this. When I think of my daughter, and I think of, you know, my nephews and my nieces, and when the decisions I make with them today, I'm actually thinking towards their deathbed.
Wow.
So let me explain why. Recently, alhamdulillah, me and Samatash have just been revising Surah Al-Baqarah recently. So like every other day, I just repeat the first juz, and at the end of it, there's a page, about a page and a half, where Allah's talking about the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam and his children, his descendants. And it's the story about how the Kaaba was being built and whatnot. But there's a very like startling theme that you can't help but miss. And that's Ibrahim's concern for not just his children, but his offspring. Children is just your kids, but your offspring is the lineage that's going to come from you. So as, you know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about Ibrahim, you know, and he's going to make him into an imam. And look what Allah says, that we're going to make you into an imam. So Ibrahim's got this great station, but his mind goes straight away to, وَمِن ذُرِّيَّتِي. Okay, Allah, you've given me this, but what about my children?
Wow.
Like, you've made me an imam. Are my children going to be imams? Like, you're telling me I've got this great virtue, but what are my children going to be on? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you know, and then he's trying to make dua for his children, trying to make dua for the city, because he's a prophet. He knows his dua is accepted. So he's trying to think, what's the dua I can make for my kids? You know what I'm saying? So he's making dua, Allah, make the city safe for them. Make this a safe place, and, you know, provide rizq for them and whatnot. And Allah said, قَالَ وَمَنْ كَفَرْ فَأُمَتِّعُهُ قَلِيلًا ثُمَّ أَضْطَرُهُ إِلَىٰ عَذَابِ النَّارِ وَبِئْسَ الْمَصِيرُ. Allah said, I'll do that. Sorry, he didn't say I'll do that, but Allah remained silent on that part. And then he said, but the ones of your children who disbelieve, I'll let them live for a bit, and then I'm going to drive them into the hellfire. Because the person dies upon kufr, he has to go there, right? So, because obviously some of his offspring are going to be believers, some are going to be disbelievers. But this is concerning him so much. He's thinking, okay, what can I do? What can I do? I'm with my son right here. Ismail, we're building the Kaaba. إِذْ يَرْفَعُ إِبْرَاهِيمُ الْقَوَاعِدَ مِنَ الْبَيْتِ وَإِسْمَعِيلُ. They start making dua, رَبَّنَا تَقَبَّلْ مِنَّا, oh Allah, accept this from us. And then they make another dua, and then Ibrahim comes to the powerful dua. And this is the dua of Ibrahim that changed everything for his descendants, not just them, but even us. We benefit from this dua today. He said, ربنا وابعث فيهم رسولا منهم يتلو عليهم آياتك ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة ويزكيهم. He said, okay, I can't guarantee my kids paradise. I can't make that dua. So what can I do? What's the best thing I can make dua for? He said, Allah sent to them a messenger from amongst them that will read to them your verses, recite to them your verses, teach them your book and the wisdom, and purify them.
Wow.
He was making dua for the Prophet ﷺ.
SubhanAllah.
So he was so concerned about his kids that he's thinking, what can I do? He said, you know what, I want to send them the best messenger, so that when they become misguided, they can be this mercy from Allah to all of mankind. Rahmatul lil alameen. And he would be a mercy not just to his descendants, but the rest of the world as well.
Wow.
And that was the Prophet ﷺ. And then even beyond that, like Allah, he brings the story back again, because he goes now to Ibrahim's deathbed. And he goes to the deathbed even of Yaqub. And this is the part that always touches me. And Yaqub was the grandson of Ibrahim. Yaqub was the grandson of Ibrahim, the son of his son Ismail, the father of Yusuf, the story of Yusuf that we know. So this is Yaqub. So Allah said, Am kuntum shuhada idh hadara Yaqub al-maut. Yaqub was on his deathbed. His children are all around him. He says to his children, Ma ta'buduna min ba'di. What are you going to worship after me? Who are you going to worship after me? Are you going to still be slaves of Allah? Are you still going to pray your prayers? Are you still going to give your charity, your zakat? Are you going to fast? Are you going to stay firm on your deen even after me? قالوا نعبد إلهك وإله آبائك إبراهيم وإسماعيل وإسحاق إلها واحدا ونحن له مسلمون. But on his deathbed, his kid said to him, what? We're going to worship your Lord, the Lord of your father Ibrahim, Ismail, Ishaq, وَنَحْنُ لَهُ مُسْلِمُونَ. Wallahi, if a father dies in that way, wallahi, he done a good job. Whether his kids, whatever happens to them at the end, is not on him on the day of judgment. But like on your deathbed, there's one element where you get to say La ilaha illallah before you die. But another one is before you die, you get to see, the last thing you see is, my children are upon this religion, they're firm. You see? And that's the thing that I try to live for my, like when I think of my daughter, I think to myself, how is she going to, like, again, you know, Ibrahim was so concerned, even in the Quran later on, he makes his dua. He said, when he said, call out to Allah, he said, Junubani wa banina an na'bud al-asnam. He said, take me and my children and place them on one side, and take idol worship and place it on another side. But like idol worship is something that is so bait to be shirk and kufr, and that you don't even need to tell a kid. But he who destroyed idols with his own hands is saying, he's so concerned for himself and his children. He's saying, Allah, today, because you know, shirk and kufr, it might not come to you, but it happens to your generations down the line. He's so concerned. He's making dua. He's a prophet. His children are going to be prophets. But he's so concerned, you know what I'm saying? And I think to myself, like, and that made me, and that's why I asked you that question. Do you feel like it made you better, what you said? And I think anyone who takes this job seriously will always become a better person after they have kids. Is that when I got my daughter, I said to myself, look, what's the greatest thing that I can do for her is I can teach her this religion. You know what I'm saying? Because by giving her this religion, I've given her something greater than this life. I've given her the next life as well. Of course, in that, you got to maintain for her here, but that's that. So I said, okay, in order to give her the religion, I need to teach her. But I can only teach her what I know. I can only go as far as I am. So, for example, everyone has these dreams about their children wanting to memorize the Quran. I said, I want my daughter to memorize all 10 qira'at, which are all different modes of recitation of the Quran. But I said to myself, but hold up, I haven't done that. And I'll be honest, I didn't really have a passion for doing it. But then I remembered something a brother told me back in the day. He said to me, kids don't listen with their ears, they listen with their eyes. Wow. He said to me, you are only going to be, your daughter or your son is only going to be as good as you are. So look at yourself in the mirror, and that's the yardstick for your child.
Bro, there's something Faisal told me. Faisal, you told me was it an actual brother, someone we know who wakes up at 4 a.m. Remember you told me someone wakes up. There's someone we know, is it a hadith? But bro, first of all, that what you just shared, bro, is so beneficial, man. To have that, even to be in the presence of you explaining that, man, is so valuable to me, man. It's truly beneficial, bro. Jazakallah khair. I think, having that consciousness is so important, man. We live our day to day and we're consumed by this world, bro. And if you think about the world that we live in, is designed to be. I just put a Twitter post out a couple of days about this as well. Is designed to be in a way to distract you, man. Like, think about this, yeah. And by the way, the most absurd thing is that if you actually present, let's say you did a PowerPoint presentation on the way the world operates day to day, it would be a comedy show.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, oh, that happens? You know what I mean? And they'd be like, yeah, because it's so stupid, bro. Like, you wake up each day as a new topic to be distracted by. And just be
dumb
put
stuff.
there. Yeah. Like, it could be, I don't know, like, it could be people arguing over the best Cadbury chocolate. Yeah. It could be like, okay, now people are angry about this, or this was said on this show and someone's angry about that. And you know what I mean? Like, just these polar opposite, like, perceptions. But then when you click on the thread, it's just like opinions upon opinions and very bold opinions. It's like, if you're the type of person that supports this, like, bro, and you're thinking these are real people whose blood pressures are rising, getting angry about stuff that they had no business getting angry about yesterday.
Wow.
So to really, you've got to pick your battles. You have to be, this is why, look, it's the world in itself. If you think of the world as an operation, as a business, it has an input and as an output, you know what I mean? Which is the human living and dying. If you control that process, you can control everything that can be done with it. So if you can control how someone comes in, everything they do, and then they go out, and then maybe even after they go, then they leave a few more behind, which is new humans. They come in and you can put people through this. You get the national curriculum. You get the education system. You get the work life, the 9 to 5. You get your annual holidays that are presented to you in a platter. Here's what you do every year. Here's your cyclical cycle. Every February, you worry about Valentine's Day. Every April, you worry about Easter. Every summer, you worry about summer holidays. You worry about Freshers Week. You worry about Christmas. Bro, we're just Halloween. We're just giving you cyclical things to, before you can even start using your brain, here's a new thing to consume yourself about. And then there's that. Then there's retirement age. Then, you know what I mean? Everything is so given to you on a platter that you're born into this world and then you die just accepting what the man has told you to accept. You know what I mean? So that concept in itself is frightening. And then on top of that, to add to that, we live in this digital age where using things like Twitter and whatever, there's new topics every day that are thrown upon you. And you now being in this world, just take this on and formulate your own opinions about it. But what I'm saying about becoming who you are is that you have to be right with yourself first. You have to be like, who am I? Who am I? What do I believe? What is right to me? There's certain values that you have to aspire to hold. And the reason I say aspire is because we might not all have them and we might not even get to the full extent of them, but we have to try and get there. Things such as integrity, to be able to say something, mean it and do it. Things such as giving respect and then get back as well. Being, sure with yourself, having security within yourself, having your moral compass, just these are things that should operate with you as an independent entity outside of what happens in the world. Whatever scenario is thrown at you, you should be able to check back in with those anchors. I mean, this is how I deal with this. Because there could be 1 million people against you in this world. But if you check in with yourself, if you believe that your compass tells you that what you're doing is right and according to what you want, bro, you could dismiss that. So it's like when this world says to you, hey, you should care about this, bro, you believe what you believe. If you're a just person, you know there shouldn't be any indecencies in the world. You know that you shouldn't be racist. You know that you shouldn't be prejudiced. You know that your moral compass will tell you that. So if the world's getting angry about something, bro, you know yourself and what can you control? Can you put out something and try and now control like all of these opinions in the world? Or can you actually work with the people around you, your children, your household, and implement the right things in the next generations? So be like, look, now you get your compass right. And exactly that, it's like that compass. When my dad said he's going to do something, he does it. When my dad said he's going to pick me up at this time, he turns up. You know what I mean? Or my dad says it, or even things like he's proactive. We forget the small concepts. Being proactive, being able to think of scenarios in advance, rather than being a person that's like, oh yeah, I should have done that. No, make sure that you think of it in advance so that if all eventualities you've considered. But lead that example, bro. And our children's one, bro. Our spouses are another, both for men and women. We have to have that example. Any man will know that respect and integrity you build with your wife is such an important level of integrity where she knows that that's my man and I believe him, I trust him. If he says something, I can rely on him. It's that surety. I don't need to look anywhere else. He's got me. If I fall, he's catching me. You know what I mean? But that's a concept you've got to create. It's not physical. You can't buy it. It's a feeling. But again, it starts with yourself. So if you distract yourself, and in this world, it's convenient for the world to drag you in every left, right way it can to just distract you and to take you off your sense of gravity. But you have to be firm, man. Have bulletproof. Walk with your shoulders back, your back straight, and be like, look, I know what I'm doing. I know where I'm going. Especially as a man, and that in fact becomes attractive to other people around you. It's what's the word? It's something you want to be around. You know what I mean? It's addictive.
Yeah, it's,
you know what I mean? It rubs off.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then people are like, oh man, like, how do I get that trait? And then, bro, imagine at the end of all of that, you realize that it's sincere. After all of that, he meant it. You know what I mean? He's not doing it for any reason. It's like, I feel that way, to be honest, when I'm around Sheikh Tim and his son. You know what I mean? His name's, is it Abdullah, his name?
Abdurrahman.
Abdurrahman, yeah. Bro, they come to our office, bro, and you see that and you're like, I want that. Like, mashallah, like, how sick is that? And you want to, we sit with him, want to learn about parenting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you're like, whatever you've created there, in terms of that bond, that respect, and knowing that it's just for you guys. You don't do it for the world. You do it for yourselves. Imagine that feeling, So, but that is what is, to me, is true success. Everything else, bro, comes and goes, man. You ain't never gonna feel like it's enough.
No, wallah, it's true, akhi, man. It's like your whole priorities just change. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like even like, yeah, it's true success, man.
Isn't it?
Is like if you can raise, if you can, because obviously you want to help people, right? You always want to help people. In business, you want to help people. You want to help change their lives. You want to provide services for them that are going to be beneficial. And that way, you want to help people. You want to change them. But wallahi, man, as they say, charity starts at home. If there's anyone that you want to help before, people online who I don't know, but I want to help them, right? And I've got passion towards helping them. Obviously, if you have your own kids, you have your own wife, you have your siblings, you're going to want to help them more than anyone else.
Sure.
So the same, like before I used to get, like now I'm thinking my goal was I want to go and I want to clean up the whole community, which I still want to, but you know what it is? There's priorities change. You got a child now. Allah said, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu qu anfusakum wa ahlikum nara. Oh, you believe, save yourselves and then your families from the hellfire. So they come first. So, and it like, honestly, bro, I sometimes I think to myself, if I wasn't able to impact anyone's life with Allah's permission, because nothing happens except with Allah's tawfiq, and I wasn't able to bring anyone to the deen, but I could just bring my child, Allah will be successful. For example, you look at some people of knowledge, and with all the knowledge that they have, you say to them, why don't you do classes for the masses? Why don't you set up things for the masses? They say, we do, but people are not really that serious. And then suddenly they have a child and they invest all of their energy inside that child. And we think, Sheikh, you could be given a lecture and there's like 2,000 people turning up every single day of the week to listen to you. But it's like, bro, I have to help my mind first.
Your mind is right, bro. Mashallah, bro. I think that it's so great that you have that mindset as well and that consciousness. You know what I mean? And you're taking heed from the book and the lessons that are taught to us. And I think that's so powerful, man. And then you're doing such a, bro. You for sure have impacted the way I operate with my family in the lessons we had before you even had a kid. You know what I mean? So the reward you get for that, bro. And then on top of that, bro, like just conversation like this, you think you're reciting Surah Baqarah for the sake of yourself and, to then teach your daughter, bro. But then what you've learned in the process, a byproduct is sharing that snippet with someone else who can then take heed from that and implement that. Yeah. So you're doing both jobs just by being you. So you just know that, continue to do that, bro. Everyone can fight their own battles. We have our verticals. We have our things that we know we're trained to do well in. If someone says to you now, hey, Imran, go out there and cure this X illness, bro, just because you can't cure it doesn't mean that you don't care about it. It's just that you don't have the means, you're not best set up to do it. We have to have faith in all of ourselves as a human race, that we're all just people, that we all want the world to be better, but then we all have to rely on each other for different strengths, And same with the Muslim community, if you think you have certain strengths and you can target an area in the community that is very specific that no one else can, bro, that should be your battle to win, and it should be supported. And then hence someone does another battle and it's in their way. It's going to be multidisciplinary. There's not going to be one way to do it. And we can't live in an ideal world where we just think there's one rule that fits all, you know? So, because the world is complex, bro.
do you know I'm smiling? Faisal, you listen to this. I always pay attention. You know I'm smiling? Because you don't even realize what you're saying applies to you. Shall I show you how?
How?
You see, you guys are not involved in da'wah, huh?
Yeah.
Like that, on that level. Even though, mashallah, I know Faisal's got some khair involved there, mashallah, tabarakallah. But I mean, like, as in, your projects are, you know, their business and whatnot and so on and so forth. But you guys don't even know how you've both impacted the da'wah.
Wow.
Shall I show you how?
No.
Wallahi,
Show us, because I don't know.
From a operational perspective, wallahi, we benefited so much from you.
Wow.
And from a creative perspective, wallahi, Faisal, we benefited so much from you. Operation and creativity that we've applied in this office right here, as a result of which we're creating all of this content that people are benefiting from all around the world. Million views every single month on YouTube. And wallahi, akhi, you have a hand in it. You know what I'm saying, akhi? And you might not have even known you were doing that. You might not even thought you could do that. But just by being genuine, being sincere, being a good brother, you guys, you know, like some people are stingy with, for example, they got a project idea. They don't, like me, I'm a firm believer, you know, in, I don't have any problem with someone copying me. Because if it's ever going to be successful, it's never going to be a clear-cut copy. They're always going to add something to it. And if they just copy me, I know they're not going to grow as it is anyway. And I don't mind even if they did copy me, because the more khair, the better, right? But some people, they have that concept of, you know, like, you know, you see it all the time with brothers and different businesses. They don't want to give you like their, you know, the tricks of the trade, as it were. So I have a concept of, you know, I invite brothers from different dawah organizations. You want to set up on my project? We'll tell you exactly how we did it so you can do it yourself.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? So you guys kind of had that. Like every time I call Faisal, like Faisal told me to get the same chairs he has. Like, come on, bro. You know what I'm saying? And I'm doing a podcast. And that's what he does. Like literally, like he could think of it as, bro, we're competitors, but he didn't. He came all the way on a day where he was what?
Bro, you know he does this for so many people, bro. Like
I seen.
So many people. Even I'm like, bro. Like, bro, he's flown to different countries to help people set up their situations, bro. But man, it's beautiful, mashallah. May Allah reward him, bro.
And Omar, even you, because you know the first office that we had, I think it was in the second visit that you came. I remember first visit you came, we were like, Allah bad, man, this guy's serious. He knows. Remember Abu Bakr? We were like, this guy's like, Allah, he's gonna be successful. Second visit you came, you probably don't even remember the conversation, but I was like, bro, do you have any advice for us? I don't even think you remember. And you were just telling us, you know, do this, and you don't even, like, some things that we benefit, we probably don't even remember, but it's here. But I know for a fact that there are two people, and me and my brother, we're close. We always mention it. We say, you know, Allah barik, man. You know, we benefit this from Omar, benefit this from Faisal. So I really want people to make dua for both of you, man, because some people might be benefiting from, for example, Chow Mabai, and not have any idea that we were inspired to do it on the back of Freshly Grounded. Do you know what I'm saying? So people look at how, you know, bro, these guys got content coming out every single day. Well, we got an operation system that we set up with empathy with our employees that we benefit from you. So we're able to get them to, well, with Allah's permission, they're able to perform the way that they are, but we place incentives and this, that. Bro, we learned that from you. So we got a good workforce that actually is able to, you know.
I love you, bro.
You know, I'm doing it. So,
wow, man, bro, that's considering the fact that we don't even talk that often, you know what I mean? And to you know, both of us to have impact in each other's lives like that, man, is just, there's nothing more you can ask for, bro. Like I'm saying, these are the forms of success that really matter, you know what I mean? And these relationships, bro, that, you know, you first of all, you having such a humble approach to everything you do as well, and being so open. You know, you've come to our office and just sat there and just got our advice. Sometimes we've just been facile about things. I remember that day you guys came and spoke about your ideas. It's so beautiful, man. And, you know, we have all the time in the world for any of you, man. And, you know, as you do for us, man, it's so nice to just have an environment, like I'm saying, going from, before, come back to the full circle from the beginning of the conversation where I was like, man, I don't know if I should meet this guy. You know what I mean? To then now being like, yo, man, like this is, you know, I'm so excited. You know what I mean? I'm like, look, I need to be on time. I need to make sure I'm there. Like, it's just, you know, and bro, whenever, anything, however, man, we're all yours, bro.
Well, likewise, man. If there's anything that we can do for you, akhi, man, just always know, akhi, man, we're here. Like you said, it doesn't have to be that we see each other every day, but sometimes connections go deeper than that. Iman, they say blood is thicker than water, but Iman is thicker than blood.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So,
man.
We're here, akhi, man. Okay, with
Alhamdulillah.
that said, man, inshallah, I think I don't want to take too much more of your time. I know you got to go back to your family. I really pray that Allah Azza wa Jalla brings the best to you and your loved ones in this life and the next, and keeps them away from every single evil, yourself, Faisal, all of us, all of our families.
Ameen.
With that said, subhanak Allahumma wa bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Assalamu alaikum. I have a question for you. From all of my videos online that you might have seen, which one has been the most life-changing one for you so far? Many people told me that it was the video when we gave da'wah outside the shisha cafe. And I'll leave you with this. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, a time will come when holding on to my religion, holding on to Islam, will become as difficult as holding on to charcoal. The charcoals that we smoke shisha with. The Prophet said, try and hold on to it. It burns you, let go of it. The Prophet ﷺ said, that's what my religion will become like. Is it not like that today? Or perhaps you're from those who said it was that lecture that everyone was asking about, the one I did on the issue of death. Send me back. Please send me back. I'll pray this time. I'll dump that girl this time. I won't play around with the girls no more. No more cigarettes, no more weed, no more watching things online, no more talking to the guys, no more music, no more disrespecting my parents. I will pray. Allah, please send me back. Tell these angels, hold me down for a second. Send me back. Just 2 minutes. Send me back. Oh, let me die with my head on the ground in sajda. Let me die. But Allah said, no. You will not be able to return. They will scream, Rabbi rji'uni. Send me back my master, please. Or maybe it was one of the other 1,000 plus videos that we have online. Whatever it was, I want to ask you a follow-up question. And that is, I want you to remember and recall what life was like before you saw that video, when you were distant from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, when you're thinking of that and remembering that, I want you to be aware that there are many brothers and sisters who are still living life like that, far and distant from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They still haven't seen that one video that's going to help change their life. They haven't seen that one reminder that's going to touch them and bring them out from the darkness of sin to the brightness and the light and the happiness of guidance. But that doesn't mean that there isn't hope for them. They just need to come in contact with that kind of content online. And that's why myself and my team are dedicating the next 3 months, inshallah ta'ala, to flooding the internet with as much content on Tawheed and Sunnah and reminders about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as possible. But the issue is that in order for us to reach those targets, we're limited in terms of the resources that we have. We need to hire more people in our media team. We need to also buy new equipment. Now look, I am going to ask you to support this financially, but I'm not going to ask you for crazy numbers. For us, we don't need that kind of money. We need little money because we have a team that really believes in this. And the proof is in the pudding. If you see what we've done over the last summer, subhanAllah, you can see that the work that gets done, that money goes where it deserves to be placed. So I'm going to ask you, inshallah ta'ala, because you're a person who's benefited from this YouTube channel. You're a person who's benefited from my video. I want you to be able to give the gift of that video that helped change your life to someone else by donating at the link below. And remember, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, none of you will truly believe until you love for your brother, by extension your sister, what you love for yourself, and what you love here for them is what guidance, the way you love it for yourself. So please, inshallah ta'ala, give it the link below and let's flood the internet with La ilaha illallah.